The short version of it is it took place over 21 years. Raised money, angels, then venture capital. We went public in the early 90s and then went private in 2005. So the complete life cycle of entrepreneurial ventures. And I didn't think I'd return to it because I thought after that, it did very, very well from, when your company goes public and all those sorts of things and then goes private, you've seen everything. And I thought probably what I'd do for the rest of my career was, join boards of directors, invest money, and those sorts of things. And I got enticed back into the startup world after all of that by a local venture capital firm who asked if I'd come and mentor a CEO that they had hired for one of their portfolio companies. And I thought that sounded like a great idea. Work a day a week, get paid, a little stock, a little cash. And then the CEO that they'd recruited, that they wanted me to be a mentor for. By the way, a little thing I'll mention, I didn't click on this immediately, but when someone asks you to be a mentor is a euphemism for old. So anyway, I didn't figure that out at first, but anyway, that meant they thought I was old. But anyway, the CEO that they'd recruited never showed up because his company wouldn't let him leave, and he found stayed where he was. It was a big company, and they asked if I'd do it full time, and help them sell the business ultimately. Short version of that was I had so much fun doing that again. I'd forgotten what it was like. With a small number of people, we had about 70 people, and it was a small business, and we sold it. And I found myself at the end of that very amenable when I got a call from another entrepreneur who has a very large company in the Boston area, called and asked if I'd be interested in meeting with some physicists who had discovered how to transfer power, electric power without wire. Would I be interested in helping him take that out of the lab?
Amazing.
And I did that. And it was absolutely a blast in another 6 years of my life. And I'm on to some new things now as well. And I've been involved in these entrepreneurial ventures now. As many people think, actually, a business degree can get in the way. Because business degrees.
So why did you get your MBA? Why?
So, if truth be told, why did I get my MBA? I was working overseas at the company I worked for out of college as an engineer. And we hired a person who worked for me for a period of time. He's from France, Hervé. And Hervé had an undergraduate engineering degree, and he had just gotten his MBA from the Wharton Business School, which is in Philadelphia, very well-known place. And I asked him one day, I said, why did you get an MBA, Hervé? And he said, I got an MBA because I want to start a business. And so immediately I said, that means you need an MBA for business. No. But what he said, which was surprising to me, was he said, I got an MBA because I want to start a business. And if the business fails, I know I'll always be able to get a job because I have an MBA. So in my 23 or 24-year-old brain, I thought, that sounds like a good idea. So I went back. That's how I moved to Boston, went and got my MBA. And but did I need it? The short answer is, in the early days of the business, it had very little to do with anything. And I think you probably well know that as an entrepreneur as well. As the business got bigger and bigger, some of those things that I learned in business school actually came to play, but they were, later on. I learned how to talk to accountants, about finance, about marketing, some of those things that, quite frankly, had to be intuitive when we were starting the business, but later on they became useful. Is it necessary? Absolutely not. In the case of myself and my partners, we just wanted to start a business. We were all working at this company in Boston, a high-tech company. We'd meet at lunchtime out on the Boston Common, and we made a list of things that we could go into business about. But it came from wanting to start a business. It was on a napkin from a sandwich shop. And we made a list of these ideas. We ended up doing one of them. What I wouldn't give today to have that napkin. I'm curious what the other things what are the other things that are on that list? I don't remember what they were. But some people, though, don't start a business because they want to start a business. They have some burning passion for a particular idea, a product, or a service. And that's a perfectly valid reason to want to start a business. I think in my case, it was probably just some element of being able to do what you wanted to do when you wanted to do it, a chance to make your mark. We started our business with a napkin and a bunch of ideas. But I think if I looked at it, for a little more from an intellectual level and said, we wanted to start something that you know something about. In my case, that was high technology. The failure is not that the business doesn't work. It's that if the business doesn't work and you end up going back, you're going to find out that once you've tasted the entrepreneurial venture, you are no longer employable. And that is the thing that probably, if it had failed, I probably couldn't work for anyone else. I mean, if you think about it, right? That's the real downside to failure. And so, yeah, you should worry about failing, but not worry about failing because you're going to be out in the street. Because remember, you can always get a job.